Hi, Limone. We invite you to give your amazing talk about social media protocols. Everybody give it up for him.
Thank you. So yeah, I wanted to stay down here, but I don't have the controller, so I guess I just stay here. I'm Limone. I'm from Rome, Italy. I'm running a community in Rome called urbe.eth, and we're also organizing ETHRome, the first hackathon happening in our country. And I'm passionate about decentralized social networks. That's why today I wanted to give you an overview of the decentralization spectrum in the space. So going from the centralized giants that we know and we use in our daily life, like X, LinkedIn, Meta, Instagram, whatever, to the Web3 innovators in the social space. A little bit more about myself. So my name is Simone, but friends call me Limone again. Just for the word game. I'm a software engineer. I love building things in frontier tech. I've been in Web3 for 2 years now. I'm a community builder. I love traveling a lot. I've been to 8 to 9 conferences at hackathons this year. Sometimes I'm a DJ and I love dead jokes. So let's get started. What are the key components of social networks? We have for sure the namespace. So my username, like my handle on Twitter, or my email, let's say, or my username on Instagram, whatever. The network, it means the social graph, my connections, my follows, my followers, the content that I posted. So everything that connects me with people on the social media. The database, which is where all the data is stored, of course. The protocol means like the set of rules that allows me to interact with other people in the network. Those could be like messages, likes, or follows, this kind of stuff. Platforms are, the clients, either web or mobile, that allows me to interact with other people that are part of the social network, and then the rule set that are often defined by the companies behind the social network. That could be the algorithm, or some forbidden actions, or some rules that they may want to set. Let's start with our journey in the decentralization spectrum, starting from the centralization, which we know is not ideal, especially in this case, because everything that I mentioned in the previous slide in centralized social networks is controlled by the company or the owner of the company. So in this case, I put our friend Elon Musk, who controls the namespace, the network, the database, the protocol, the platform, and the rule set of X in this case. And this comes with some issues, of course, because they are always allowed to revoke my username, or maybe suspend my account, ban or can delete one of my posts. They can decide, for example, for a developer, they can decide to change the API rule set. They can revoke my API key and whatever. They're also in control of the data. So everything is stored on their data, and it's up to them to treat that correctly. This is a recent example of when Twitter rebranded to X. There was a guy who owned the X handle in this case, and he was trying to sell it, of course, but at some point the Twitter company decided to get the control of that handle, and of course the guy was not able to sell it anymore. And he only received some gifts back from Elon Musk. Another problem of centralized social networks is that they are walled gardens, meaning that data is not portable between different social networks. So you don't really own your social graph. It's the company that owns it. And you can't really escape. So of course you can somehow migrate your data, but it's not that easy. And the problem is that if I don't like Twitter anymore and I want to go, I don't know, on Instagram or some other platforms, I have to start from scratch to build my reputation and my following and my content on the other platform that I'm now using. That's why I think that we should strive to use and build more open protocols instead of locking ourselves into platforms, closed platforms. But even though open protocols are not really immune to centralization, because think about SMTP and emails or browsing, they are heavily centralized on Google. because a lot of us use Gmail or Chrome instead of, I don't know, Outlook or Internet Explorer, for example. But at least I'm able to switch between competing clients following whatever I prefer to do. And at the same time, for example, if I have a Gmail account, I can still send you an email on your Yahoo account because we are communicating through an open protocol. The next step in the decentralization spectrum is called the Fediverse, which is a model, it's a collection of tools actually, and platform using the activity pub protocol, which is a protocol that defines APIs and rules in which servers and clients have to communicate to each other. The most famous example of platforms and social network built on top of the activity pub protocol is Mastodon. How many of you know about Mastodon? Okay, some of you. And for those of you that don't know Mastodon, basically on Mastodon, instead of having a single server like on Twitter or like a single feed, people can host their server. So I can host my server and an instance on Mastodon, and I can allow users registering to my instance and reading whatever it's going up there. And this comes with some improvements, but also some drawbacks with respect to the centralized platforms. Cool things about the Fediverse is that, again, diverse server ecosystem because there are multiple instances and I can choose the one that I prefer the most according to my what I like and what I don't like. User migrations, so it's easier to migrate your data and your followers among the different instances. And community control, because instead of having a company pursuing their interest in controlling the social network, in this case, servers are owned by community people, so hobbyists are around the world. Things that I don't like about the Fediverse is that there are some centralization tendencies because users tend to register in the most popular instances. So there are like 4 or 5 instances like mastodon.social, mastodon.art, and users gravitate towards those servers. Communication silos, because instances cannot really communicate with each other, and admins can also prevent other instances in their system. Privacy concerns, because I already told about this, that it's people and not companies owning your data and owning the servers. And somehow this is, in my opinion, like worst, because there's no end-to-end encryption and your data is managed not by a public and maybe even regulated company with a lot of attention in it, but by some hobbyists around the world. And so you need to trust these people running a server at their place, that they are not selling your data or they are not doing something wrong with it. And then self-hosting challenges, because it's not so easy to host an instance on Mastodon and on the Fediverse in general. Before going to the on-chain solutions for the social networks, there are also some other protocols that I wanted to mention that are Blue Sky, which is inspired by the Fediverse model, and it was started inside Twitter, and now it's a standalone company trying to improve account portability between these instances. And then there's also Nost, which is a really niche social network where instead of username you have just public keys, and so they have this unique non-namespace approach, and it's like really, really underground, let's say. Let's go on-chain without the dash. Farcaster and Lens. How many of you know about Farcaster? Lens? Same, almost, wow. So these are, like, in my opinion, the main social media protocols that are building on-chain or somehow on-chain. And I wanted to, highlight them, especially Farcaster, which I like more. Here is a brief overview of, and also a comparison between the two. So, for example, on Farcaster, they just went on Optimism mainnet, and they are, in order to register, you have to pay an annual fee that is used to pay for the data storage, and you have also to renew your handle. And while on Lens, you have only a one-time handle creation. On Farcaster, you have IDs and readable usernames, while on Lens, you use public keys to identify in the network. On Farcaster, the content is stored on a peer-to-peer off-chain network, and they have this concept of sufficient decentralization, while on Lens, everything is on-chain, or almost everything. They are based on Polygon for transactions and module extensions, and they recently released this health tree called Momoka to improve scalability. While Farcaster, again, relies on Optimism, but only for the user identity, so the content is not on-chain. About Lens, again, they have this L2 approach with Polygon and then an optimistic L3 technology called Momoka. So they have both efficiency on one side and scalability thanks to Momoka. Profiles are NFTs minted by users and wallets, of course, and they give user control over their profile data and whatever they do in the network. Composability and monetization, because Lens allows you to add custom modules to your NFT profile to, I don't know, monetize your content, follow other people, or maybe you can create custom logic about who can consume your content based on if they follow you, if they don't follow you, and whatever. And decentralization and data integrity, because, again, everything is on-chain, efficiency thanks to Polygon, and open source node operation because of that as well. Let's go into Farcaster. Farcaster, again, is on Optimism, and it also uses an off-chain peer-to-peer network. And this peer-to-peer network is synchronized the states. So what's happening in the network through Delta graph updates. They use secure and human-readable identifiers like limone-ETH. And they recently also integrated with ENS, so your username on Farcaster can be your ENS. Real-time settlement and cost-effective data access, like for developers, is really good because you know, to post content, you don't have to run transactions, you just have to sign them, and it's happening behind the scenes, and it's also costly to read the data. And the network, again, it's peer-to-peer, it's decentralized, and it's easy to propagate data between the hubs in the network. How does it work? So you register your ID on Farcaster through your wallet, so your public and private key pair. Messages in the network, so let's say I'm posting something or I'm sending a message to my friend, I'm signing everything with my wallet so that it's only me. It's some, like, you know, to authenticate the messages that are flowing in the network. There is the concept of hubs that are somehow like blockchain nodes, but are Farcaster nodes in this case, and they use, again, Delta Graph to achieve consensus. Client hubs can connect to these hubs, and it's permissionless, the connection, so that they can easily read the data and distribute in the best way they want to do it to create customizable user experience. So there are some clients that, for example, are related to photo sharing, some others for event sharing. I'm building one to allow you navigate through the people in the network and finding, I don't know, people relevant for you to follow. Yeah, the best thing is that the Farcaster IDs in the end are stored on Optimism, and so nobody can revoke them for you because they are on the smart contract, and it's only your address that can move it. IDs and names, I think I already talked a little bit about them. They are just, you know, canonical user identifiers, started from 0. Now we are around, I guess, 20K users. The registry is on Optimism. Names are human readable, and they recently integrated ENS. And here, the most interesting thing to me is the concept of sufficient decentralization, which is described in an article by one of the co-founders of Farcaster. And a social network achieves sufficient decentralization if 2 users can find each other and communicate, even if the rest of the network wants to prevent it. This means that, you know, to achieve this property, users should always be able to claim unique usernames, and that's, of course, managed in the smart contract that are on Optimism. They should always be able to post messages under that username, and they should always be able to read messages from any valid username. And so with this user ID registry that is on-chain, and with the off-chain network that is always, you know, open for people to send messages, they are achieving this sufficient decentralization. And again, sufficient decentralization for me, it's interesting because on-chain it's only what's needed. So Farcaster is not X on the blockchain because the only part that lives on the blockchain is the user identity again, while messages, likes, follows, and everything else happening is off-chain. And this because the blockchain is a pool storage mechanism for data, especially in a social network context, because data is immutable, so you can never delete a post. And I don't know also how it works with the GDPR and the right to be forgotten. And then it's also, bandwidth limited, because if you're posting content and for each post or action that you take, you have to run a transaction. It's not really gas efficient. And this is the Farcaster stack. So the accounts are all on Optimism. Usernames are on ENS. Hubble is an open source library that allows you to spin up a Farcaster hub in 5 minutes, and you can easily, integrate it with a Postgres SQL database, let's say, and already run queries on the data that is in the network. And on the upper level, you have all the applications that are already more than 30 maybe. There's Yoop, Gem, and WordCast, which are the most used ones, I'd say, but there is also a very active community building more and more applications. Again, why blockchain is important in this case? Because using a MySQL database, it's worse because, of course, like blockchain are distributed and ownerless, so no single actor can modify, own, or control the data stored in it. And in this case, we are talking about the namespace, for example, so nobody can revoke my name and my ability to post in the network. And blockchains are also permissionless and public. So anybody can access their state, and there's no need to issue any API key to do that. Why decentralized socials are important, just to recap a little bit. Account ownership, because I'm the single owner of my account. Nobody can revoke that from me. Data portability, because across the whole ecosystem, I can migrate. Without migrating even, I can just move around different clients, and all my data is with me and my Ethereum address, of course. Permissionless innovation, because you can build services on top of open protocols without asking nobody the permission. And this is boosting innovation a lot, I think. And censorship resistant moderation, because data on the protocol cannot be censored, but you can be moderated on the client side. So applications may decide to mute your messages and your content if you're acting bad for their client and platform. But still, there could be like other clients that allow you to write whatever. Thank you so much. Hope everything was clear. These are my social handles around X, Farcaster, and Lens. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And yeah, thank you again. Any question?
Hi, thanks for the presentation. So I have a question about the centralization of the Farcaster network. So is it like permissionless? So how is this working? Like the nodes are these hubs, right? They are storing the data, but is it like Farcaster running all the nodes, or is it permissionless? Because like, if it's like a system that you can easily screw around. Yeah. So maybe you have this ENS names, you have your account, but if they can just share different data that you didn't post and made you feel you did.
Yeah, of course, both Farcaster and Lens I think they are far from having some optimal solution. In the case of Farcaster, they literally this week moved from Gurley testnet to Optimism mainnet. The number of apps is growing. I think that they want to reach at least 100 apps from the community, so not run by the company behind the started the protocol. So right now, for sure, it's not the most decentralized network that you can think of, but of course, it's in their plan to incentivize people running apps, and right now the biggest incentive that you have, so on Ethereum and other blockchains, maybe you are incentivized because you get some rewards if you validate transactions. In the case of Farcaster, right now the people incentivized to run hubs are the ones that are running business on top of the protocol. So people and companies that are creating mobile applications or clients, they're incentivized to decentralize more the network. And so the more the user base grows and the developers ecosystem as well grows, the more decentralized will be, because there will be always, this chicken egg thing. Not easy.
Okay, thanks. And one more question: what do you think about having so many social apps and social networks? It's you cannot be online on every one of them.
Yeah. You mean about this tree in particular, or different application in the same ecosystem?
No. So now you have these free networks. So you are actively using this free right now. So what if we have another one, another one, another one? What's the end goal here?
I think it's up to you how many to use. Actually, the one that I'm using last year is Lens, while I'm very active on both Farcaster and X. But I'm slowly tending toward Farcaster because I like it more. And I don't know if in the future we will be using many different protocols. Maybe there will be one that can fit everyone. There could be many, but about the different application that you can have in the same protocol, I think it's cool to have ways right now, for example, I'm a type of person and I have a type of communication on Twitter, while on WhatsApp I have only certain type of conversation going on Telegram different as well. And so I see these open protocols allowing me to easily have these different kind of identities without having, I don't know, 10 applications and different accounts on them. But yeah, it's a good question. I don't know where we will go, and I don't know, maybe Farcaster and Lens are here right now. Somebody else will come, hopefully, with something even better. And so the best thing to me is that they are bringing innovation and inspiring people to use them and build cool things on top of them.
Okay, thanks.
Chiara?
I just wanted to
So just want to quickly ask, how scalable are these solutions? I mean, we talk about X, handling hundreds of millions of users, right? That's just not possible at the moment with the infrastructure we have now, with on Polygon or on Optimism. And then another thing about Forecast, I'm curious to know how the incentive models work, because it sounds like it's just voluntary. People just voluntarily host the data. And because of that data is not recorded on chain, I understand there's the concern of privacy, right? But if that data is not on chain, I think one of the key benefits of having decentralized social is that you could prove that you have sent a message in the past, and you could have that provenance of that message. So I just want to hear your opinion on those two questions.
Can you repeat the first one? Sorry.
Yeah, scalability.
Oh yeah, scalability. Yeah. I think that right now, Farcaster is much more scalable because it's sufficiently decentralized. So the only gas fees that the company or whoever has to pay is for registering the user. While on Lens, okay, now they introduce Momoka and they allow you, instead of posting to Polygon, you can just validate the transaction without posting it. So it might be more scalable in the future, but I see Farcaster right now winning on that side of things. With respect to the incentive model on Farcaster and hosting the data, again, you are not rewarded in any way right now to run a hub. And the best incentive, even talking with the founder, they told me that in their thinking right now, the best incentive is for people that are building on the protocol, and so they are incentivized to let it live and work properly. So they're running people that built Gem or even Caster, which is another one. They are incentivized to have an hub, first of all, because it's easier for them to access the data, but also because it's helping the network to be more secure. About the privacy, of course, all the messages that you're posting from these clients, for example, WordCast, they're all public and transparent. I can read it in 5 minutes again if I want. There are some clients that are also trying to allow you publishing anonymous messages. So it's up to the client that you use and the way in which you also want to read the data. So there is one project called Sealcaster, I believe. They allow you to publish anonymous messages, and then it's up to the other clients understand how to, I don't know, read them, decode them, decrypt them, whatever. So right now, if you can post everything you want, and the other clients can read it easily. If you add some encryption or encoding stuff, you know that the other clients need to support it. Otherwise, messages coming off from your client will not be readable by other people.
Cool, thank you. I have one question, but I don't want to take up everyone's. Frontech, I know it's not decentralized social, but it's kind of cool. Like it is, innovation in the crypto social space. So, just very quickly, what do you think about it? Have you used it? Have you bought shares?
I used it like for a couple of days. Didn't study it very well, so I can't answer like any specific question. I bought a couple of shares. I also had some friends buying my shares, and I think it's a cool experiment. Not sure where it could go, but it's part of what I call like ephemeral apps. I read an article about these ephemeral apps that we were used to this application like, I don't know, Facebook that was with us with I don't know how many years. Well, now there are a lot of experiments popping up, and maybe after 6 months the hype is gone. But it's it's just fun and interesting to see.
Hello, thank you for your amazing presentation. I'm curious, what do you think is the role of, let's say, this platform that you mentioned before? So things like YouTube, for example, or other platforms that are kind of living in the surrounding of the core social platforms or social networks. So I don't know, Twitch, that kind of stuff. Like how can we see these products complete without all of those add-ons being decentralized in a sense, or content being published by creators into void of YouTube, let's say? Yeah. And how does that relate to this, in your opinion?
Yeah. I think we are not so far from having, live streaming, I don't know, clients on top of Farcaster. I don't know about Lens, but as long as the protocol is flexible enough, you can build whatever you want. For example, in Paris, I was building a voice chat app based on ETHRome and Farcaster as well, using the chats from Farcaster. So it's more about maybe the infrastructure that they use. So you can also, I don't know, create a client that is integrated with both your YouTube account and your Farcaster account. But then I don't see the point, because if you are live streaming to YouTube, whatever, it's on their infrastructure. While maybe you could think about integrating it with decentralized options like live peer or stream it, for example. So it's all about the flexibility and the things that you can do with the protocol, and so it's part also of the development of these things. There are already like 7 Farcaster improvement proposals. I think that most of them already went up, but it just started. In the past, with my previous company where I was working on, we were trying to build a decentralized professional social network, so more like LinkedIn vibes, and we decided to not integrate or build that on top of Farcaster because of the data that we need to handle, and so there was not much flexibility, and we decided to try creating our own, but of course it's difficult. So it's all about flexibility and how you can expand the protocols and the things that they built.
I have one more question, hopefully a very short one. I hope you're going to see it as on topic. When metaverse?
I don't know, but so far I think I've seen metaverse from X, Y, Z, and blah blah blah, and they are not really interconnected. What I imagine for when I think about metaverse, even if I'm not so interested in this concept, but if I think about it, I think of something more like this open protocol. So let's say that you have an open infrastructure where everybody can build. You have an account, and then there are like different platforms in which you can interact with people, maybe in VR, maybe just in chat. But the most important thing, like for example, even now on Forecaster, I can create a client where you can connect with your account and you have your username, and instead of interacting between messages or audio stuff, we can interact with a VR reality. I don't know. So I see something more in that direction.
And do you think these new platforms, decentralized, they could be more open, more interoperable between each other? Because for me, it seems that we're just getting more silos, essentially.
Of course, like right now they are silos, and they are also different approaches to building the same thing. So Lens started with a protocol-first approach, so they built the protocol first and then involved the developer ecosystem, while Forecaster started with product first, so they had a client involved, they got some traction on the user base, and then they started opening up the protocol to allow developers build on them. So it's kind of, I don't think they are competing. They are competing more with the other centralized platforms because there are a lot of people that are still on X, LinkedIn, or Instagram, whatever. And I don't know if they will coexist in the future, but for sure, like the way also in which they started it and like the way in which the protocol works, it's so different that not easy to join the protocol. Maybe somebody can build, I don't know, a single client where you can connect with both, but still it's an headache, I think.
Thank you so much, Limon,
Thank you.
for this very interesting
Thank
talk.
you so much.